10 weekend special package. Let's now catch up with the 82nd Liège-Bastogne-Liège. 263 kilometers this race was, or 157 miles. 12 climbs as always, the majority of the climbs coming once the riders have turned at the bottom end of the course of Bastogne, which is done already. And now we're heading back up towards the finish. And this is always a tough race, one they always want to win, of course, because they say it is arguably the hardest of all the classics. It's certainly the oldest of the current classics, and they call it for that reason La Doyenne. And we're now looking here of Coppolillo on the attack. Just to run you down the overall situation, going out from the beginning, the first climb was won by Chris Gerrits out on the Côte de Saint-Roch. Then followed on the second climb, the Côte de Mormont, Damien Nazon, who rides for Benesto, but he was lying an early leader and second two-stage wins in the Tour of China last year, which was the first ever Tour of China. That's where we first saw him, a very good, useful sprinter. Andrea Perron for Motorola won the climb of the Côte de One, followed over by Lance Armstrong and Evgeny Berzin. That was where the big hitters started to show themselves. And now we've got Coppolillo out here. And in this group here, number 74 is Laurent Madouas for Motorola. But there's nobody really broke the file of the big field yet, although this little group trying to get clear. And Abraham Olano, the world champion, is up there as well. Laurent Brochard, the rider who finished 8th in the Flèche Wallonne, and a hand up there at the front. And this is Lance Armstrong requiring a little bit of advice from the back as the world champion goes through. Abraham Olano and Laurent Madouas, Brochard. And looking across there to see what all the problem is about is Pascal Richard of the MG team. Pascal Richard, former King of the Mountains, a couple of years ago in the Tour of Italy. He's won the Tour of Spain, he's twice won the Tour of Romandy. Pro for 11 years, which incidentally is the same as Mauro Gianetti has been a pro. Now, Madouas is waiting because whatever the problem, I think Armstrong has actually got a bicycle problem here and he's called for a wheel change. Now, let's have a look and see if we can pick this up on the cameras, because I think the group has come back anyway, or at least a large portion of the group has come back. There, down below, is one of the riders, and that's Coppolillo. Coppolillo is still out in front, while the group behind has turned off completely here at the moment. And here they come, Armstrong being brought back up to the pack. Madouas just checking to see everything is all right. Axel Merckx is the man who's brought him back into the race. Claudio Chiappucci there's number 81. And so, as smooth as you like, the team captain has been brought back into the main group in Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Confidence today of Armstrong. 4 days ago, winner of Flèche Wallonne. And there's the rider who made sure he got safely back in, Axel Merckx. Motorola are having a great couple of days of classic racing down here in the Ardennes. Now they're sent through the neutral service car, has gone straight by there. I don't know whether there's a general regrouping forming at the back. David Rebellin is the rider in the Polti colours, the yellow jersey going through. A lot of people are tipping Rebellin for a great season this year. And this group has really come back basically together here. The Motorola boys seem to be in control right now. They've got themselves, all three of them, at the front and keeping a tight control on affairs. Pedaling strongly at the back there is Fabio Fontanelli, another rider who's having a great season. 6 wins under his belt already. Claudio Chiappucci, Rolf Sorensen on the right of our picture there. And Gabriele Colombo. Number 7 here is David Rebellin. And number 111 is Richard Virenque, who had a long breakaway in the Flèche, but he got brought back. And there's about 17 riders in this group now, and we've done something like 215 kilometers. Coppolillo has been the man to top the 3 climbs ahead so far, the Côte de Haute-Levée, the Côte de Rossier and the Côte de la Vecchie. at 209 kilometers. Now we've got Alano here trying to launch an attack down below there. The world champion. Laurent Brochard is the rider with him. This is the leader, Michele Coppolillo rather, and he's having another good season too. He started off well with the stage 5 win in the Tour of the Mediterranean, his only win of the season, but he finished 4th overall in Tirreno Adriatico, and a great 3rd place finish for him in Milan San Remo, and he was 2nd behind Chris Boorman in the Criterium International. So he's a danger man and could well carry off this race given his head. Well, the riders know it, and the world champion knows it, and the world champion trying to do something about it down there. Not getting a lot of help from this breakaway. This breakaway that's built up to some 17 men has become a little unruly. Coppolillo has gone on a long way to picking up the prize for the King of the Mountains today, or the King of the Hills. And with Armstrong and Gianetti in this leading group, I think Gianetti's here, then we have a good battle going on there for the cumulative of the 2 races, the Flèche and the Liège-Bastogne-Liège, because there is a big prize for the winner of the so-called weekend. And somebody's put in a great attack at the front there, and it looks as though we've got, in fact, attack being launched at the front. We've got 4 riders trying to go clear. There was a sense that that 17-strong breakaway was becoming a little bit unmanageable, so now they're trying to thin it down. A lot of head turning going on here to see if it's worth continuing with the pressure. And it looks like the long legs of Axel Merckx, or is it Laurent Madouas? No, it's Axel Merckx. Rolf Sorensen goes through and helps him. And the other rider up here with them, number 116, is Pascal Hervé of Festina. Now this could be another decision being made here as riders continually get off the front. They don't like this group at all. It's good to see Axel Merckx getting mixed in with this. 2 riders going clear, small group reforming behind. Alano the last man to tag on there. And Sorensen is going to go. Sorensen takes a look over his shoulder. He passes last year's winner, Mauro Gianetti. He's tempting people to come and join him here. He doesn't want to go alone just yet, but these counterattacks must be causing a problem with the overall lead. Pascal Hervé comes up. And number 37 there is Pascal Richard. And it looks as though they've all scrambled the way back on. Well, we'll shortly be going down into Rémuchon, and that's the gateway to the climb of the La Redoute, which is a very steep climb, guaranteed to have great crowds. Back up with the leader now, Coppolillo, who's unaware of all the attacking, the counter-attacking which is going on behind him. But if they get it underway, then I think they'll pick him up. He's done a good ride to stay away from this race for so long today, Coppolillo. But he's got the benefit of the form he knows he has. And it's always a good chance to have a go early on, because the shadow boxing can often give you the breakaway you require to win the day. He's still got the climb of the Côte de la Redoute to come, the Côte de Ornay, and a new côte in the race this year, the Côte de Sartillemont, which replaces the Côte des Forges, out of the race this year because I believe it's got some roadworks on it. This is the beautiful town of Rémuchon. I once was based here for about 5 days, and it was a great period 4 years ago. And there's the breakaway sneaking across the main street and then running down alongside the river, turning into a very narrow cobbled road, and then a sharp right under the motorway bridge, and then you're on the climb of La Redoute. And you can see the crowd from a long way off, lining it right to the summit. Not a pretty sight, especially if you're in the lead, as Coppolillo is here in Liège-Bastogne-Liège, because of course you know it's a tough climb to the top, and the field are in fact closing in, or at least that breakaway is. Coppolillo keeping the pressure on. Yet another Italian who's flying the flag high and sure. He'll make a sharp right at the end of the road here. This is very much a holiday area of the Ardennes and a great base. Not a bad fishing river, by the way, either, that. If you like a spot of fishing for trout. And now we see this is the group again. It seems to have reformed, so they're waiting now for what will surely be a showdown on the climb of La Redoute. Nobody yet willing to split up the field at this point. But the hill will probably do it. It starts very gently once you cross underneath a main road bridge, which we'll probably see. It's a very straight climb at first, just a chance to remind yourselves how hard it's going to be, and then you turn left. And this is where we are now with the leader, as Michele Coppolillo starts now to climb almost parallel here. You can see the cars on the right parked. Well, they're actually on a freeway, where of course it's illegal to park, but we are in Belgium and we are watching one of the world's great classic races, so today I guess they'll turn a blind eye. There they all are, parked while the race goes by. That's the main road which goes down through Liège and onwards, or you can go the other way back to Brussels and onwards to Ghent. And there's the crowd I was referring to, and there's a fit man on the right. Well, he's didn't stay too long. But Coppolillo here is still riding very, very well indeed, despite the chase that's going on behind him. He knows now he must conserve his lead at the top here, because this is where they're going to put in the first move to try and bring him back. What a really tough climb this is, and there's still a kilometre to go of La Redoute. And there is Rolf Sorensen just hanging on to the back of the group here. And the group keeping surprisingly well together on the climb. Looks like Pascal Hervé setting the pace at the front. Armstrong, Madouas and Axel Merckx are all here and riding right up at the front today. These three men have come together in the Motorola team this year, the two newcomers, Merckx and Madouas, now showing their real strength, and this is going to give Armstrong a lot of support as the three of them get to the front on the big climb of the day, La Redoute. Into the steep section now, and Coppolillo is riding absolutely superbly today, and I have to say the crowd very orderly indeed here. Now the bunch coming up. And Coppolillo counting his pedal strokes as he climbs slowly to the summit of La Redoute. And keeping his rhythm nicely going. Not breaking it at all. The road will level out very shortly. That's the good news. Here comes the pack. They're not very far behind at all now on this climb. And the back of the field beginning to break up completely. The Carrera rider there, Enrico Zaina, who's dropped off the back. As a little bit of pressure goes on the front as the hill does begin to tell now. But the three Motorola riders are still in the centre of that group there. Now I wonder if we can actually see the leader. And there he is, just to the right of our picture, so they've almost got him. Brochard has blown as well with Zaina. In fact, the back end has gone completely on this break. As the race continues at the front, we now know that we are picking up Michele Coppolillo, and the strongmen in the chase group will know it also. Crowd a little bit thinner here because you don't get such a good view of the climb up from the valley at this point on the climb. That's why you can see them coming right out from down at Remrichon, from lower down the slopes. And there's a problem for Coppolillo as we come towards the top of La Redoute. Whatever it was, a slip gear, a jam train, as the last year's winner, Mauro Gianetti, goes through. Now this was La Redoute 4 years ago, and I had the privilege of making a video with the Motorola team, and we climbed La Redoute as preparation for Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Well, I think I made a mistake. I was some way behind as I came up to the camera for the 5th take. I was beginning to think that making this video was not such a good idea.
You know, keeping up with these guys in the Motorola team is kind of hard, and so it should be, because after all, they're the best bike riders in the world. Today they've ridden 180 kilometers. We're just 2 days away from LIEGE-BASTOGNE-LIEGE. This is La Redoute, one of the most famous climbs on this classic, and it comes just before the finish. One more big climb to come called the Côte des Forges. And you know, this hill and the next hill is where the climbers put home the killer instinct. This is where they springboard to victory.
And right now we're looking at the man who won 1 year ago, and this is Mauro Gianetti. Will he be springboarding to victory here? This is Pascal Richard who's coming up to him. The two riders who have both been pros for 11 years, and their birthday, by the way, is the same date as well. And they've joined together at the top of the climb. And it looks as though Lance Armstrong has also come across. That is Armstrong, who also has got across. Good piece of riding. Lance has bridged the gap to Mauro Gianetti and Pascal Richard. And the world champion Alano is bringing the field back. Or it's not the field now, it's a small breakaway here. But we've got Alano coming back up. And we've got also there Laurent Madouas. So still there is a teammate around Lance Armstrong. We've got 3, 6, 8 men now trying to get away as we go towards the summit of La Redoute. Now it's a long narrow road over the top here. The riders again will swing right down a narrow track, and you're out of sight for quite a while here. Now let's see what happened here to Coppolillo. His gears slipped terribly there, and he was caused to stop. I think it was just a slip gear. His gear just slipped out of the sprockets. He had no pedal momentum. He's put it back into the gear, back on as Mauro Gianetti goes by him. Well, the gap was 30 seconds at the bottom of the climb, and it was looking like about 10 seconds by the time he came to that stop. But he's been wiped away now. Picked up 3 of the climbs as well, but he's now gone. We've now got 2 Motorola boys here and 2 MG Technogym riders. Well, Pascal Richard has made the split. Tall figure there of Laurent Madouas, always checking where the team captain is, Lance Armstrong, before he applies the tourniquet. This is the right turn off the top of the hill. Quite narrow now. 8 men. They've got the Mavic service car with them. Indication they must have around 30 seconds. The wind pinning the riders over to the right-hand side of the road. And Armstrong has decided to attack. Lance Armstrong has gone, and Madouas has followed his wheel through and shut down. Now that's a move, because Madouas' plan here is to ease the reaction. Mauro Gianetti, last year's winner, inspired again today. Alano takes off after him too. So too Pascal Richard. Now this is a great move by Lance Armstrong. He's so confident now after his victory 4 days ago in Flèche Wallonne. I see Pascal Hervé is still there, Maurizio Fondriest. But Armstrong has tried to set himself up for a lone win here as he starts to move clear of the field. Now that was a good move by Armstrong, and the block was effective as well. This is Axel Merckx with this group here, and he's got Chiappucci. So it looks as though Merckx is also trying to get across here from the remnants of that fine breakaway. The other rider here is David Rebellin. 3 riders trying to bridge across. So we've got Madouas up front, along with Lance Armstrong out front. And now Axel Merckx trying to reach them, taking with him David Rebellin and Claudio Chiappucci. So this is the traditional battle now over the top of La Redoute, where you literally scrabble for wheels and hope to survive. They're coming off the narrow roads and swinging right onto the much nicer roads now as we head towards the Côte d'Ornay. And LIEGE-BASTOGNE-LIEGE spread all over the Ardennes hills here. There's the flotilla of motorbikes following the end of what is a long line of riders split up. There's Claudio Chiappucci sitting on the wheel of Axel Merckx, and Merckx would like a little bit of reaction from him. Claudio, no problem, goes through. David Rebellin. They're trying to cross up to the leaders, but not the leaders, I don't think, where Armstrong is. Very difficult now for our cameras to actually cover the race here because this breakaway is so evenly spread on the road. They're having a job getting between the riders. Here's Gianetti now. He's across here with Armstrong, which means that Pascal Richard also must be here. And I think he's in the shadow to the left of our picture. There he is. So we've now got these three riders clear. Alano never bridged the gap. So Armstrong, Pascal Richard and Mauro Gianetti, last year's winner here again. It is amazing how they can reproduce the form of 1 year on when it really matters. Gianetti had a very good Flèche Wallonne. Now he's hoping to have an excellent Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Axel Merckx has got across to teammate Laurent Madouas. Fine piece of riding that by Merckx. There's Alano back in this group, which is now becoming quite a solid group here. Chiappucci obviously is also here. Merckx nears the camera. Madouas, Pascal Hervé off to our right. Maurizio Fondriest, number 151 there. 3, 6, 9, 10 riders down in that chase group. Thinned out dramatically on the climb of La Redoute. But I think that the way they're riding now, with two teammates of Motorola in that group, I would think we're more likely to see that lead group succeed. 111 is Richard Virenque. David Rebellin. 116 Pascal Hervé, Maurizio Fondriest. Then we come moving up the line here. Axel Merckx. Fabio Fontinelli. And the rider number 45 there, the ever-present Gabriele Colombo. Continuing a good season for him. Well, that's the little chase group, but we'd like to get back to the front, and here we are now back to the front to see what is going on. It's Pascal Richard in the centre, Armstrong follows him, and the other Swiss rider at the front is Mauro Gianetti. Both the riders from Switzerland speak French as their first tongue, although you can speak 3 languages in Switzerland. They have 3 national languages, French, German and Italian, and Pascal Richard speaks fluent Italian. I can't say I know if Gianetti does. And these 3 are really committed now. Now, the younger of all is Lance Armstrong, the confident of them all. Well, it should be Lance Armstrong after his ride in Flèche Wallonne. But Gianetti will feel a little bit more inspired here. He carries the number 1 on his back as last year's winner. And Pascal Richard is a rider who always delivers surprises wherever he goes. Had an excellent career, Pascal, including a World Cyclocross Championship as well, which at the time launched the new Wyman team into being with a fine victory in a cyclocross. The same day they announced the team, they had a world champion. Looks as though Pascal was just stretching his leg there. He took his right foot off the cleat. And as a result of that, he's going to have to make his way back up to the group. I don't think he's got a problem. He's a little bit checking the release lever on his front wheel there. Well, not the lever, but the other side. Maybe he's got a... I think, in fact, he's got a problem with the sender on his computer that seems to become unclipped from the wheel. Well, for goodness sake, Pascal, don't try and put it back on while you're going. Otherwise, you may have to scratch your head with the other hand. Anyway, he's coming back. Nice little gaggle of people watching 3 riders go through. None, unfortunately for them, is a Belgian, an American and 2 Swiss heading down towards the finish now, but 2 climbs still ahead of them first. Mauro Gianetti. So 3 riders in the lead, and we've still got no signs of that breakaway repairing the damage now at all, as they go quite clearly on towards the climb of the Côte d'Ornay. They're doing much longer turns, each of them here, which is a good sign that they want to keep this pace nice and steady without doing any damage. And the 3 riders working well together. This is a good race for them now. They're clear, they've made their decision on La Redoute, and I really think now that, barring bad luck, they're going to find out which one of them will pick up the win in Liège-Bastogne-Liège. It's somewhere between these 3 for my money, as they now head off towards the next climb. And these 3 riders now are facing no challenge at all. Spring is still to arrive in the Ardennes, but the riders aren't noticing it. What is most pleasant is the sun has come, and the shadows on the road surface there will be very warming. Richard behind his countryman at least, but his rival. They used to be on the same team, but they no longer are. They're on rival teams now. They both used to be managed by Coquely, who looked after Greg LeMond at one stage of his career, Andy Hampson, and of course Bernard Hinault. We're going back some 10 years there. Gianetti, birthday the 16th of March 1964, the exact same day as Pascal Richard, and they've both been pros for 11 years. I suppose the better of the 2 is Richard as far as results go, but you can't deny the fact that Gianetti has also pulled off 1 or 2 great race results in his life. Having finished 44th in Liège-Bastogne-Liège back in 1988, he landed the big win here in 1995. But I would rate one of his finest rides coming in Colombia last year in that dreadfully hard World Championship, where he took 4th place. That was a superb performance by him. Down through the trees, Pascal Richard. I told you that earlier he won the World Championship Cyclocross. Well, that was back in 1988. But his best season was coming in 1994. He scored 14 wins that year, amongst them the Tour of Romandy, a stage in the Tour of Italy, plus the King of the Mountains title. He won the Tour of Switzerland, and he finished 3rd in the classic Tour of Lombardy. So Armstrong has 2 very talented riders with him up there, and I don't think, looking at the way they're freewheeling in that chase group, they're going to make any impression on them now. Alano, the world champion, steadily improving his form everywhere he rides, and I think he's going to have a great season in the big tours. But Armstrong thinking now his next goal after Liège-Bastogne-Liège, well, I would think his real goal this year after the Tour du Pont, which I'm sure he'll want to win, will be the Olympic Games. This might be difficult for Lance to work out how he's going to time his form, which is clearly he's got great form right now, and it's April. How he's going to time his form to reappear in the month of July end because of the Olympics, as well as having to ride the Tour de France. It's a difficult year for the professionals this year. Armstrong not afraid, never was, to do his share of the work. You very rarely see Lance sit on at the back, always willing to set the pace. And then come the 2 veterans, Gianetti, Richard. Richard won once a stage in the Tour de France, way back, 1989, at Briançon, or Briançon rather. And that was a good win. He came clear of the field up a long uphill finish in the town. But it didn't affect the overall, but it gave him a nice feeling. And they're pushing the motorbikes on, but I don't think there's any danger from behind here. Sharp right turn as we head up now on the Côte d'Ornay. In the region of Tilth now, which for the amateur enthusiasts, they still run. The Liège-Bastogne-Liège Classic is sort of mirrored in the Tilth-Bastogne-Tilth Classic, which is for the amateur fun riders. It's not a race, but you wouldn't know that if you ever take part in it, because you seem to race all the way. I've done it once. It's around about 230 kilometers, and it's great fun. This is one of the roads they use. And there's little old Claudio Chiappucci, Il Diablo, sitting at the back, having a good look around. Number 116 is Pascal Hervé, but there's no impetus in this breakaway, and there'll be no complaints about that coming from the 2 Motorola riders, because they know their man is going to at worst finish third. And if truth would have it, I think he's in for the win today. That would be incredible. First American to win Flèche Wallonne. He would become the first American to do the Ardennes double, and of course the first American to win Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Remember, Lance has been second once and sixth. It's a race he loves. Little drink there from Michele Coppolillo as we see an attack by Rolf Sørensen. Coppolillo doing well to hang on in there after his long breakaway. And immediately jumped on Sørensen. No messing about at all. The Motorola boys are well in command here. It's Axel Merckx. Axel Merckx, who's caught up with the Rabobank man. No effort at all and no working allowed, so he just sits on Sørensen. The group is reforming at the back. On the climb now, Armstrong still trying to keep the working pattern here, dropping back behind Pascal Richard. Even on the climbs, the big chain rings, and 1 minute the gap. Gianetti will be pleased with that. 1 minute for the number one. There's Pascal. Lance has that look of aggression as he rides his bike. He just charges up the hill and makes his bike look as though he's about trying to tear it off the road, even when he's not actually attacking. And off go the spare bottles, 2 bottles off, and 1 comes back on, ready for the last climb and the run into the finish. It's uphill 2 to the finish at Anse, as Lance knows only too well. Well, very soon now there'll be no more drinks allowed. We're heading down into the closing kilometres of the race. Hervé sitting at the back. And they're also on the climb, but they're a long way down it, and there's really no action at all from that group. It is not... it's almost as if they've accepted the fact that with these 3 names away, they've lost the race. There's no reaction coming from them at all. And as we look down on the 3 leaders and the flotilla of cars and press cars who've got in there, I would have thought that's an indication the gap has gone slightly more than 1 minute now. Moving across nicely. All riders riding identically at the moment. The hands relaxed on the centre of the bars. Then Armstrong just kicks out of the saddle to latch onto the wheel of Richard. It is quite amazing how the parallel of those 2 riders, Gianetti and Richard, have gone, because I told you earlier that Gianetti has finished 4th in last year's World Championship in Colombo. Well, guess where Pascal Richard finished? He was 5th. And this is, I think, Fondriest now, who's trying to break up this field. He's having enough of this. He knows we've got to react and do something about it. Fondriest now, who used to be a man for the Ardennes, is now giving this one big solid effort here, and he's going to keep it going until he's caused a crack in that bunch, and then he'll look for somebody to give him a hand. Well, tagged on the back, he's got Motorola, and I think it's Madouas. So he won't be getting a hand from him. David Rebellin is here, the little paltry rider. And I think the Gavis rider must be Colombo. We'll get a look when we get a chance, but right now Fondriest is going to continue the pressure here. Tolano's there. And we've gone back up to the leaders. Olano was actually the rider right behind Maurizio Fondriest, as Armstrong now continues to put the pressure on a little bit, perhaps a tester, just to see what the reaction is, and it's good because Pascal Richard's come straight back up and by. Into the trees, these are good roads now to keep out of sight of the riders. There's Olano, who's up behind Fondriest. Then we do have indeed Maurizio Fondriest and David Rebellin. So these are the 4 now in the counter-attack on the Côte d'Ornay. 230 kilometres covered. And It looks as though Madouas is going to be a real find here, and a shrewd signing for this team by Jim Okovits. A Frenchman coming across from Castorama, which disbanded last year. And Laurent doesn't speak fluent English by any manner or means yet, but he is learning. And he says he's very content riding on this American team, which I have to say is unusual for a Frenchman. They find it very hard to settle in a country that speaks English, or with a team that speaks only English, basically. But he seems to be very happy and has said so in the French press. And he's certainly riding like a star today. He's playing the brilliant teammate here for Armstrong. And if he stays in this group, of course, he's going to give the team a great starter. We just need Axel Merckx to land a big one. I say we, I shouldn't really. But Axel Merckx get a high finish as well, and they could carry off the team award today, and I don't believe they've ever done that in any World Cup event before. And that's on the cards right now. Back up to the leaders. Here comes Armstrong. Gianetti right behind him. No signs of anybody being weak in this group at the moment. And there'll be constant testing on this climb by riders, little accelerations just to see how the reactions are. There's Armstrong, his face telling us nothing. So in the break in Flèche Wallonne, and now in the break again in Liège. Once over the top of this climb, we're on our way down to the next climb, which comes pretty soon afterwards. About 12 kilometers down the road, we'll start the climb of the Côte de Sarthe-Tillemont, and then we're heading up to the finish. And there's the summit. And Armstrong's had quite a few points around the climbs today, so he's not going to be far off being the king of the mountains. He's been scoring regularly. He was third on the Côte de Stocco, he was third on the Côte de Aizemont, he was second on the Côte de One, and then later on he was third on the Côte de la Veque, second up the La Redoute, and now we're on the Côte de Ornay, and he's going to score again here. So Armstrong must be well in the hunt there for the King of the Mountains title, or the King of the Côtes title. But what's going on here is an attack here. Now this is amazing. Laurent Madouas must have sensed something here, because he's launched an attack of his own. Now normally he wouldn't do that to damage the lead of a teammate, but he must have sensed he was going better than anybody, and he's got clear on his own. And my goodness me, he's got clear on the climb of the Côte de Ornay. Madouas going clear now, which will make a very sweet result indeed if this happens. Gianetti having a little bit of coaching on the roadside for the #1 rider. Well, it's not as if he doesn't know the finish, but I think it'd be more a tip of how to cope with these two riders. He knows Pascal Richard inside out, and he's had experience of Lance Armstrong as well. And again, Richard has found his form at the right time. Now coming up towards the top of the coast here. Armstrong was first over the top, and now it's another Motorola rider who's going to get fourth behind the rest. Or ahead of the rest and behind the three leaders, perhaps, is the better way to put it, because now Madouas is trying to force an advantage here. He's still got quite a lot of work, though, to do to get across to this breakaway. The gap is still over a minute to Madouas, and a few seconds more to the chasers. But in two classic races, we have seen Motorola just become one of the best teams on the circuit. Jim Okovits has never been so busy. He's been up and down to the breaks for the last two events now, Flèche Wallonne and now here. He knows also he's got his hands full, because he's got two riders right behind him, Merckx and Madouas, and a real chance they'll lift the team prize today. Pace up to over 70k an hour, is it? No, just underneath 70 kilometers an hour. Plenty of drive left on these riders. And now we've had all three team managers up here. One will not be outdone by the other. Have you ever noticed that? because it's all psychological. All three riders now know the situation behind. They'll know that Madouas is chasing, and Jimokovic, I think, shouted those words to Lance. Well, there'll be no question of waiting for him. They couldn't take that sort of a risk. But it's good news to know that another Motorola rider has been let loose on the road. The miles ticking away. 235 done now. I wonder if any of these three riders yet have started to sense who might be the weakest. There's nothing being given away at all here from what we can see as we watch the race. They all look pretty good. Armstrong, the winner last year of San Sebastian Classic, has now got the flesh wallon under his belt. Is he heading for his second World Cup event? What a great race to get on your honours. Liège-Bastogne-Liège, the oldest of them all on the circuit. The oldest race, by the way, is Paris-Rouen, which is an amateur race these days. And the big old classics, Bordeaux-Paris and Paris-Brest-Paris, unfortunately now gone. Although Paris-Brest-Paris is still ridden by the tourist routier, the cyclists who do it for fun. Some way of having fun, eh? A long way, 600 kilometers plus. Rolf Sorensen, he's had a very up and a down day. He keeps on contacting the groups, he keeps on trying to break them up, but no answer. Now we've marked again because this looks as though we've got a little group come up here. David Rebellin, and it looks to me as though we've got Axel Merckx, Rolf Sorensen, David Rebellin, and I think it's Richard Virenque who's also tucked in at the end there, which means now that these are riding behind Laurent Madouas on the road, and again Motorola's put a man in the move. This is superb riding by Motorola today. They've very definitely got the top three in the front running now, and if they finish like this, they'll walk the team prize, and that's going to lift them right up in the team race overall to probably the top 2 or 3 positions. There is the city of Liège, and the river you see, the River Mars or Meuse, depends on which side of the border you're on, because it runs straight through Liège into Holland. It's the Meuse down there in Liège. It becomes the River Mars once we go into Holland. Very nice city, an interesting city. We go into the city and then climb to the suburb of Ans. Uphill finish. And it looks as though we're on to the suburbs now, as the riders are heading round across the river bridges here in the centre of Liège, and then we'll start the climb up towards the finish. Little bit of cobbles, just to remind everybody we're still in Belgium. And Pascal Richard heading up towards the climb, and this man is a good climber, king of the mountain in the Tour of Italy a couple of years back. Armstrong, king of the mountain in the Tour de l'Avenir he was in his first year as a pro, and he always laughs at that because there weren't any real mountains in the Tour de l'Avenir. And behind him, Mauro Gianetti. Now the two riders at the back, friends, ex-teammates, birthdays on the same date, against an American, all on rival teams, so they all want the victory. They're now going to have to plan how they do it. Sweeping across the streets of Liège, roads that they all three of them know very well indeed. They know they've got just over a minute on Madouas, and not much more than that back to the chase group. And the race completely split up. And there's not a lot of riders left in this race either. Fewer than 60 still on the course. The streets are narrow, ideal for surprise attack, but not just yet because the roads are too straight. Armstrong in at the kill for the 3rd year in succession in LIEGE-BASTOGNE-LIEGE. 2nd and 6th the last 2 years. Now can he make the top slot? Looks over to see the whereabouts of Gianetti. The climb will start, and then once over the top, it's a little ride to the finish of around about 1 kilometre plus. Armstrong setting the pace. The last shower for Pascal Richard, probably before the bottle goes back into his cage. I thought he's going to throw it away. And now, no work from Pascal. Armstrong, having none of it, swings right out of the line and looks over to him and says, after you, sir. Leaving Gianetti to keep the pace going. Superb breakaway by these three today, and again this race producing the strong men at the front. It was a tough ride. There was no easy bit on this course once more. Coppolillo set a real tough pace, and if you didn't have the strength to cross the gap on the climb of La Redoute, then you weren't going to make the selection. But these three, well, they proved to us they had the strength. Now, which one is going to be the strongest on the final little hill? Will they go on the hill, or will they wait for the sprint? In the sprint, Armstrong surely's got a good chance. I'd certainly be more worried about Richard than Gianetti. Richard has a nasty habit of pulling off some great results. Richard not really putting his power in the bike now, as he just keeps over to the left of the road, looks across, lets Armstrong come by. Gianetti doesn't want to come by now. Now we're starting the cat and mouse. Remember that Laurent Madouas is only a minute behind and could close if they keep this up. There'll be no cat and mouse with Madouas. He's going like a greyhound because he's being chased at the moment by 4 riders, and it wasn't Virenque, it would be Fontanelli, Rebellin, Merckx is there, and it could have been Virenque, but we'll see when they come up to the sprint. But there's 4 riders chasing anyway. Onto the cobblestones, and the climb will start. And is there an attack? No, an acceleration certainly for Pascal Richard. Armstrong in a good position to have seen that. That may be why Pascal didn't persist. But Gianetti thought he was going. He moved across to the left of the road. Gianetti looks at this point to be as though he might be in a spot of bother here. Richard has spotted it. He's going to test him. And immediately Gianetti gets back up. Richard has seen it, and he's not going to push home any attack. Armstrong right on him, watched every move. Armstrong following Pascal Richard. As always, when 3 riders have given their all and not shirked any of the duty, you'd like all 3 to win, but of course that's not possible. There's only one of them can win. Armstrong carries the weight of America. The first American to do the double, to win both the Flèche and Liège, would be an incredible result. The fact he is here in this breakaway will give him the Ardennais weekend, so he'll win a few $1,000s for that award. And he scored enough points to also win the King of the Coats competition. So it's been a very lucrative day out for Lance Armstrong, and that's before he gets a shot at the win. Now Richard gone. Now this is the move we expect from Pascal. He's gone with a turn of speed, but Armstrong has spotted it, gone straight after him. Left wanting a little bit Mauro Gianetti, but he's going to come back because Richard is shut down. Now we're heading for the line now. Pascal Richard is right where Lance Armstrong wants him, at the head of the line. Watch out for Gianetti at the back. I think he needs a little bit more fuel in those legs, but you never can tell. Richard now takes a good look at the face of both of them, just to see, and he's looking over the shoulder of Gianetti to see if there's any sign of Laurent Madouas. And our cameras never having picked up Madouas since he escaped, so I can only assume that we've lost a moto during the last while of the coverage, because we haven't seen much of the chase group at all. Armstrong, I'm not sure that's where Lance needs to be at this stage. Followed by Richard, and then Gianetti, who hasn't contributed since the climb started. He's only watched the wheels, and made sure he followed the attacks, such as they've been. Now watch out, because Pascal Richard's come through on the inside of Armstrong. Armstrong straight onto him. Much closer order too from Mauro. And the shadows are on the right of the road. It might be worth noting that with the sun, because that's something to watch for, but the way the angle of the sun means you're going to see the rider before the shadow today. Slowing right down. Madouas will be closing in if they keep this up. Richard does not want the lead now. We're getting very, very close to the finish here. There's the long straight road ahead with the gentle incline. It is almost as if each rider, apart from Gianetti, are just tempting the rest. Armstrong goes forward. It's almost as though he invites Richard to come up alongside him. Richard does the same thing. Now the gentle incline starts. No effort at all being put in now. They're just turning those big gears over with their body weight virtually, waiting for the start of a sprint. And always behind, that chase group has got to be closing in on these. Let's look at this. Richard's gone to the other side of the road. There's our television cameraman. So we've got two cameramen here and none with Laurent Madouas, which is rather a shame. Just doing all they have to do now to keep those bikes going forward. Armstrong very, very alert. And look at this now, Mauro Gianetti, he's watched and waited, now he's gone. This is what I think he had to do. If he is tired, he had to go for the long one. He's got the jump at 1 kilometre to go. Armstrong is after him, a little bit slower off the mark is Pascal Richard, but he's on there now. And that's a good move by Mauro Gianetti. Armstrong is having to find a lot of speed here to get on. The initial surge by Gianetti at 800 metres to go to the line. Looks over his shoulder. Richard as well is trying to get onto the back wheel of Armstrong. This isn't what Armstrong wanted, this big effort to close the gap, but he's closed it. He's now back onto the wheel of Gianetti. Gianetti has spotted it, stops immediately. Armstrong won't want to go through. Now, is there going to be an immediate counter from Pascal Richard, who's gone through the middle and kicked straight away? That's the way to do it. Armstrong spotted it, gone straight across to the wheel of Pascal Richard. Gianetti, much slower to react this time, I think must settle the third now. But they've slowed right down. Richard has slowed down again, about 500 metres from the line. That's going to allow Gianetti a few deep breaths. And a good chance for Armstrong as well, because that was a serious effort to bring back Gianetti, and it took a lot of effort. Pascal Richard, I felt, should have hit just that couple of seconds earlier, because Armstrong saw him going. He waited till he was alongside Armstrong before he went. Now they're trying, this is look more like a track sprint here as Pascal Richard tries to keep both riders pinned to the barriers, so he can keep an eye on both of them. It's a long time since we've seen a finish like this one. They come up to 300 metres to go to the line. Pascal Richard watching Gianetti, his ex-teammate, I think he said ex-friend, but that's certainly not true, his ex-teammate and friend, while Lance Armstrong has the lead. 300 metres to go. Why doesn't Lance kick now and kick hard? Round the corner, they'll see the finishing line. Armstrong has gone through, and I think I'd have been tempted to have gone before now, but Armstrong is going to start the wind-up very late, and he's going to have to take it now directly from the front as Armstrong goes up now, launching it for the front. Pascal Richard is right in on his inside and is going to Armstrong's right. Armstrong goes after him, but on the line he takes it almost with ease. Armstrong gets second place, Gianetti gets third, and this is how close they were, because right up behind them, Laurent Madouas gets fourth on a roller, and that is a great result for Madouas. This looks like Fabio Fontinelli, who comes up for the Italian MG team. He will get fifth. Fontinelli continuing his series of fifth places in the World Cup Classics, and behind him is Rebellin, and there's the result. A clear win and a fairly convincing victory in the end for Pascal Richard, who there he is giving the interview, and my goodness me, is he going to be happy, because he read the race to absolute perfection today. I think Lance Armstrong will be a bit disappointed with that. because I felt he should have opened the sprint a little bit earlier and he may have had a better chance at the first place. So Pascal Richard gets his classic victory, Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and this is how he did it. He went to the right of Armstrong. Armstrong did his best to move across to him, but about there he knew he had no speed like Richard today. But in the Ardennes Championship, Armstrong, Gianetti, Richard will be the order for that prize. Let's join Paul Sherwin now with Lance.
This year's been a special year for you in the Ardennes because you walked away with the Flèche Wallonne, a 60-year-old event, and you rode it with incredible tactical sense.
I always thought Flèche Wallonne was good for me, and I always wanted to do well there, but I'd always been too excited. And it's truly one of the hardest races, and it's hard early in the race, and I would always want the real racing to begin earlier than the race wanted to be, and so that was always my problem. But this year I really tried to be patient, and it worked out.
Did you find it hard to be patient because you knew going into Flèche Wallonne that the form was there and you knew you had a great chance of winning, but you also seemed to be forcing yourself to hold back?
Well, for me, I felt as good the year before, I think, but I attacked the first time up the Muir, and after you make a mistake like that and you realize that even if you feel good, you're not going to ride away from a field like that on that course, you tend to learn pretty quickly.
Now in the final kilometres, Didier Roux was quite strong there. Did you have any feeling at all that he might beat you to the top?
Well, you never know with a race like that. He'd had a great year, and he's a strong rider. I felt comfortable. I felt good with my form, but you never know.
You enjoyed the victory, though, the final few meters, though.
I definitely enjoyed it. For us and for me, it was. What can you say? I mean, Flèche Wallonne is while it's not a World Cup anymore or now, but it is truly a monument. And for me and for the team and for American cycling, I think that it was a big day. And those are the things that I consider to be good for our sport here. So yeah, of course I enjoyed it.
And contrary to the joy of winning Flèche Wallonne, you were so close again in Liège-Bastogne-Liège, but even your whole team was magnificent that day.
Right. Well, I think if you look at Liège, we truly dominated that event. We, as a team, made the race. Andrea Perron made the field from 150 to 50 guys. Axel and Madouas were there all day. I was going through different phases of feeling good and feeling not so good, and blew out a back wheel, and they were there for me. And if it wasn't for that team, I honestly don't think I would have been second.
You've been so close. You've been second twice. You finished sixth. You're going to come back one day and win Liège-Bastogne-Liège?
Definitely. No question.
Why is it so special?
Well, the success helps. When you have an event that you've always been competitive in and you've always been in the front, then I think it's automatically a special event. For me, it's always, the timing is always right, because at Liège I know that in a week or two I'll be going home as well, which helps. I mean, if it's Milan-San Remo, I know I have 6 weeks or 8 weeks until I get to go back to the States, and Liège is oftentimes the day before I leave to come back to America, and that's sort of my final race in Europe for the spring, and that gives me added motivation because I enjoy coming home.
And let's wish Lance Armstrong good luck for the upcoming Tour du Pont. I hope you've enjoyed this. If your name was Lance Armstrong, you certainly did. Until the next time, goodbye.